Envision a world where those who abide by the rules, toil diligently, and play fair are rewarded with success, acknowledgement, and influence. It seems just, doesn't it? Yet, take a moment to observe your surroundings. Who truly holds the power? Is it the virtuous or the merciless? Those who uphold morality or those who twist the rules for their own gain? The harsh reality is that society peddles a deceptive narrative. From a young age, you've been taught to believe that goodness always prevails, that sincere effort leads to achievement, and that justice is the bedrock of existence. But nature reveals a bleaker truth, a truth that is unsettling and grim. To it, morality is merely a means of control, a mask designed to keep the vulnerable in check, while the true rulers seize what they desire. This is why you witness the rise of the cunning. The most unscrupulous leaders thrive in politics, the most exploitative corporations dominate the markets, and the most self-serving ascend the ranks, leaving the innocent to languish in obscurity. The game has never been about merit. It has always revolved around power, and that power is claimed by those who grasp this reality before others do. Nature refers to this as the will to power, the unyielding force that distinguishes those who command from those who submit. Yet, most individuals remain oblivious to this truth. They cling to the comforting illusion that justice will always win out. Do you share this belief, or are you prepared to confront the stark and unvarnished reality? After watching this video, your perception of the world will be forever altered. Since the moment you drew your first breath, you've been led to believe that life is ruled by justice, that hard work, goodness, and proper conduct will inevitably lead to success. But pause for a moment. Does this truly mirror reality? Who truly reigns at the summit? The most diligent or the most cunning? The most virtuous or those who wield manipulation like a weapon? Society thrives on a comforting deception, the facade of meritocracy. The premise is deceptively simple. Those who play by the rules, who toil honestly, will eventually reap their rewards. Yet, Nietzsche recognized this belief as a mere illusion, crafted to keep the weak submissive and the powerful firmly in control. The harsh truth is that history has never been penned by the righteous, but by the merciless. Consider the mightiest empires of our past. Rome did not ascend to greatness through justice. It forged its empire through the annihilation of civilizations, the enslavement of peoples, and the brutal suppression of dissent. The United States did not rise to superpower status through ethical means. Its ascent was built on wars, exploitation, and ruthless economic domination. In the corporate realm, industry titans did not climb to the pinnacle by being benevolent. Amazon, Google, Apple, all these behemoths thrived by obliterating competition, manipulating markets, and placing expansion above any shred of morality. The shadows of truth linger, waiting to engulf those who dare to see it. The most unsettling truth is that this system is not an accident. It was meticulously crafted to function in this very manner. The French philosopher Foucault noted that power is never equitably shared. It is amassed, concentrated, and safeguarded by those who already wield it. The notion of a fair world is merely a comforting illusion, lulling people into believing that success stems from virtue and diligence. This narrative serves as the most effective means to prevent them from rising against the true masters of the game. Nietzsche took this further, asserting that traditional morality, the one that extols virtues like humility, sacrifice, and resignation, is not a universal standard. Rather, it is a tool devised by the powerful. It is a way to ensure that the oppressed do not challenge the true rulers of society. He termed this slave morality, a belief system that venerates submission and vilifies strength. Adherents of this morality come to view ambition as a vice, the pursuit of personal greatness as hubris, and any challenge to the status quo as immoral. Yet, this mindset only reinforces the dominance of those who truly control the world. In contrast, those who embrace what Nietzsche referred to as master morality are often labeled as cruel, arrogant, and threatening. It is a tragic irony that the very values meant to uplift the weak only serve to bind them further in chains. Yet, it is these very individuals who carve the path of history. They are the ones who never seek permission, imposing their desires upon reality, crafting their own rules while disregarding those set by others. They do not wait for justice to arrive. They seize what they desire. This is why so many kind-hearted souls find themselves ensnared in lives of despair, while the unyielding thrive in a world that rewards their ruthlessness. For while some adhere to the rules, others shatter them. While some yearn for acknowledgement, others force their presence upon the world. While some lament the injustices they face, others exploit them for their gain. The lingering question is, will you persist in believing the lessons you were taught, or are you prepared to confront the harsh reality? Nietzsche's philosophy is encapsulated in the notion of the will to power. He posited that every aspect of life, be it biological, political, or personal, is driven by a singular, fundamental force, the desire to dominate, to grow, and to impose one's will upon the world. The modern delusion is to think that people pursue happiness, peace, or harmony. Nietzsche dismissed this as a comforting falsehood. What truly propels individuals is not the quest for comfort, but the relentless drive for ascendance. Every form of life is engaged in a struggle to flourish, to conquer, and to assert itself over others, the lion that kills to claim its territory, the CEO who crushes rivals to expand his empire, the politician who manipulates to cling to power. All are expressions of the same raw force, the will to power. Here's the key detail that distinguishes winners from losers. Many individuals have suppressed this impulse since childhood. You have been conditioned to restrain your desires, to practice humility, and to respect boundaries set by others. You have been led to believe that wanting more is inappropriate, that pursuing power is perilous, and that ambition equates to greed. In contrast, those who grasp the truth not only embrace this impulse, they nurture it. Nietzsche argued that the great conquerors of history, the groundbreaking artists, and the timeless leaders were those who did not shy away from their own will to power. They did not seek permission, did not adhere to the constraints of slave morality, and did not hold on to abstract ideals like justice or goodness when these hindered their potential. This brings us to a crucial point. Power is not something that is granted. It is not a reward for the most diligent or a prize for those who abide by the rules. Power is something that must be seized. A look at history reveals that the true victors were not those who awaited acknowledgement, but those who asserted their presence. Alexander the Great did not seek permission to conquer empires. Napoleon did not wait for a throne to be offered to him. A review of history shows that the real winners were those who took action rather than waiting for recognition. Alexander the Great never sought permission to conquer empires. Napoleon didn't wait for a throne to be offered. He seized it. Steve Jobs didn't look for validation when he chose to transform the technology industry. He brushed aside the criticism and followed his vision. The distinction between those who lead and those who follow is stark. One recognizes that the world is claimed by those who assert their will, while the other clings to the false hope that a just system will eventually reward him. This reality permeates the workplace. Have you noticed how the most devoted employee often remains overlooked for promotions? Meanwhile, the individual who knows how to market himself, who takes credit for others' work, and who navigates the treacherous waters of power often ascends the ranks. In the corporate realm, companies that employ ruthless strategies and manipulation often prevail, while those that strive for fairness are left in the dust. I see this not as a flaw in the system, but as its very nature. The world was never designed to be just. It is a battleground where only those who embrace their will to power can mold reality to their favor. Here lies a painful truth that few dare to confront. If you do not assert your own will upon the world, someone else will do it for you. If you fail to establish your own values, others will impose theirs upon you. If you don't strive to win, you risk becoming just a pawn in someone else's game. Many find themselves ensnared in a life of mediocrity, shackled by the moral codes imposed by society. From a young age, you were taught to be humble, to avoid confrontation, to prioritize others over yourself, and to adhere to the rules. You were led to believe that goodness would lead to success, that acting with integrity and compassion would ultimately bring you rewards. Yet, nature has revealed the harsh truth behind this illusion. It became clear that conventional morality is not a universal truth. Rather, it serves as a mechanism of control, designed to keep the weak submissive and the strong restrained. Consider this: who established the rules that label ambition as undesirable? Who decided that yearning for more is an act of selfishness? Who instilled the notion that the pursuit of power is inherently wrong? The answer is painfully obvious: those who already occupy the heights of power. The prevailing morality in our society, which I refer to as slave morality, glorifies submission, obedience, and the denial of one's own desires. It teaches that being peaceful is virtuous, that enduring life's hardships without question is a mark of character, and that rejecting the thirst for power signifies a higher evolution. But who truly benefits from this moral framework? Certainly not those who adhere to its tenets. The stark reality is that this morality was crafted by the weak to shield themselves from the strong. It's a somber reflection on the nature of our existence. Those stripped of power tremble before those who wield it, crafting tales that vilify anyone daring to rise. For centuries, religious leaders have preached the virtues of humility and sacrifice, extolling the nobility of suffering and silence as a path to worthiness. Yet, they bask in opulence, manipulating the minds of millions from their gilded thrones. Governments chant the mantras of justice and equality, but they are the first to twist the laws to cling to their dominion. Nature, in its dark wisdom, offers a stark contrast with the morality of the strong, the master morality of those who mold the world to their will, unafraid to embrace their deepest desires. For these individuals, ambition is not a burden to bear. It is the very fire that drives them. The urge to grow and dominate is not a source of shame. It is the lifeblood of existence. They do not exist to appease the masses, but to expand their own realms of power. Reflect on history and ponder who the titans were that reshaped the world. Were they the meek who bowed to societal constraints, or the audacious who dared to defy every expectation? The shadows of the past whisper the truth. Julius Caesar rejected the constraints set by the Roman Senate, dismantling them to become a dictator. Napoleon, too, could not accept his role as just an army officer. He took control and reshaped the landscape of Europe. Steve Jobs refused to let technology adhere to conventional standards. He imposed his vision and transformed an entire industry. Yet, the tragedy lies in being born into a world steeped in slave morality, where one remains blissfully unaware of the profound limitations it imposes on life. You feel a deep sense of guilt for yearning for more. You feel wrong for aspiring to power. The fear of being perceived as arrogant for standing out looms large, as you have been conditioned to believe that true goodness lies in humility, submission, and settling for the bare minimum. Nietzsche recognized this as a sickness. He argued that humanity should strive for its fullest potential, breaking free from the shackles of this stifling morality to embrace its authentic self. The heartbreaking truth is that a significant flaw hindering most people from attaining power is their inability to master their emotions. Many act impulsively, responding instinctively to provocations, and claim to romanticize notions of how the world ought to be. Nietzsche viewed this as a weakness. For him, those who navigate the complexities of power are those who first learn to control themselves before attempting to influence the world around them. History reveals that the most impactful figures were not necessarily the most just or intelligent. They were the most strategic. While many exhaust themselves trying to persuade others of their correctness, the true victors observe, analyze, and act only when the timing is ideal. The issue with most individuals is that they mistake strength for impulsiveness. They believe that being strong means reacting to every attack, responding to every provocation, and engaging in every conflict. However, this is precisely what the weak do. Genuine strategists select their battles carefully. They understand that every action should have a purpose, and that squandering energy on meaningless disputes is a form of self-sabotage. Nietzsche recognized that power lies with those who can navigate human psychology. Most people are predictable. They respond to anger with anger, fear with fear, and pressure with despair. Those who excel in the power game do the opposite. They wield patience as a weapon, calmness as a shield, and silence as a means of control. For instance, Julius Caesar understood that his ascent relied on the loyalty of the populace, so he leveraged every military victory to bolster his image as an invincible leader. He did not squander time arguing or justifying his actions. He allowed the outcomes to speak for themselves. When faced with political attacks from his adversaries, he refrained from impulsive reactions. He chose to wait. He utilized every military success to strengthen his reputation as an unbeatable leader. He did not waste time arguing or trying to justify his actions. He let the results speak for themselves. When his political opponents launched attacks against him, he refrained from reacting hastily. Instead, he took his time, forged alliances, and when the opportune moment arrived, he decisively defeated his foes all at once. In today's world, the principle remains unchanged. The most effective CEOs are not necessarily the hardest workers, but those who understand when to take action and when to hold back. The most influential individuals are not those who make the most noise, but rather those who speak less and observe more keenly. Many make the error of expending energy trying to prove their worth to others. True strength lies not in convincing others of your power, but in allowing them to sense it without uttering a word. Nature recognizes this as a form of personal mastery. Those who manage their own emotions can influence the reactions of others. Individuals who remain unbothered by insults, provocations, or attacks hold the upper hand, as they can transform their opponent's frustration into vulnerability. The key lesson in the realm of power is that the one who maintains composure while others panic ultimately prevails. While most act on impulse, the true strategists wait, observe, and strike at precisely the right moment. If power were solely about domination and tactics, being ruthless would guarantee lasting success. However, history demonstrates that those who ascend to power often experience the most severe downfalls. What often paves the way to triumph can become the very force that leads to ruin, a grim cycle for those who fail to harmonize strength with wisdom. Consider Julius Caesar. He seized control of Rome through his shrewd vision and skillful manipulation of both allies and foes. Yet, the Senate he once commanded with an iron fist turned against him, and he met his end at the hands of those he once called friends, including Brutus, whom he regarded as a son. His merciless thirst for absolute power bred countless adversaries, and ultimately, he lost everything in a brutal twist of fate. Napoleon tread a similar dark path. He swept across Europe with unprecedented speed and military acumen, but his unquenchable ambition blinded him to the dangers ahead. Ignoring dire warnings, he plunged into the Russian winter, where his relentless pursuit of expansion led to his catastrophic downfall. Exiled and humiliated, he died far from the glory he so desperately craved. And if you believe this is merely a tale of the past, cast your gaze upon the corporate realm. Business titans who once built vast empires often find themselves consumed by their own monstrous creations. Jeff Skilling of Enron, who once manipulated markets with impunity, was brought low by the very scandal he thought he could evade, ending his days in prison. Elizabeth Holmes, with her grand promises to revolutionize medicine through Theranos, let her hunger for power drive her to falsify results, leading to a spectacular collapse. The lesson is stark, and chilling. Unchecked ruthlessness devours even the mightiest, leaving only shadows of their former glory. Those who wield power are acutely aware that absolute authority can breed a dangerous kind of blindness. When one becomes convinced of their superiority, believing they are untouchable and their might unquestionable, they begin to overlook the lurking dangers. They start to make blunders they would have once deemed impossible. They misjudge their adversaries, unwittingly forge enemies, and by the time the truth dawns upon them, it is far too late. But is there a way to evade this inevitable downfall? Yes, an end revealed the chilling truth balance. A true master of power is not merely strong. He is cunning. He comprehends that victory is only half the battle. The other half lies in knowing when to halt, when to solidify his reign rather than recklessly expand, when to extinguish threats, and when to turn foes into allies. Those who plummet are those who mistake power for invincibility, those who ascend relentlessly until the very weight of their hubris brings them crashing down. At this juncture, one truth remains stark. The world is no fairy tale where the virtuous emerge victorious. Power does not reward virtue. It rewards strategic thinking, courage, and the ability to adhere to the established rules, or even to change them when needed. But does this imply that you must forsake all ethics? That you need to become a merciless tyrant to secure your position? This is the pitfall many encounter. Power can ruin those who view it solely as a tool for domination. Nature never advocated for blind oppression. It regarded power as a means of transformation, a way to carve your own path without succumbing to greed or destruction. The true victor is not simply the one who seizes power, but the one who understands how to sustain it. This involves striking a balance between strategy and emotional intelligence, knowing when to be ruthless and when to be strategically generous, when to attack and when to withdraw, when to silence adversaries and when to make them allies. The challenge for most individuals is that they tend to exist in extremes. Some spend their lives being taken advantage of, hoping that their goodness will be rewarded. Others, upon realizing the nature of power, descend into a cycle of destruction and paranoia, ultimately becoming victims of their own cruelty. However, there is a third path, that of those who grasp the game but refuse to be consumed by it. The profound truth is this: you can choose to believe in justice and remain a pawn on someone else's chessboard, or you can accept reality, learn the true rules of power, and consciously decide how to engage with it. If this video has shifted your perspective on reality, subscribe to the channel and comment. Power is not asked for. It is taken. See you in the next